It's rewarding and meaningful just to be able to finally get the truth about her out there and finally, hopefully, dispel and destroy that offensive caricature that, was just in the courts, in the media, everywhere back then, which is, just very destructive thing to do to a 14-year-old, no matter what she's done.
Some crimes just defy belief. They're so brutal, so cold, you can't wrap your head around them. But what happens when the person responsible is just a kid? Today, we're looking at a case that forces us to stare that horrifying reality right in the face.
Those are the words of Winona Fletcher, looking back on the night she destroyed 3 lives, a night she planned and a night she carried out, all when she was only 14 years old. So let's just lay out the facts. We're in Anchorage, 1985. A home is invaded. 3 people are murdered, and the main perpetrator is a teenage girl. It's a case that is just as complex as it is deeply, deeply disturbing.
Look, this is so much more than just another crime story. It's one of those cases that really gets under your skin and makes you question everything. To truly understand how something like this could even happen, you have to hear all of it. And to make sure that we can keep telling these stories that absolutely need to be told, please take just 1 second and subscribe. It means the world to us, and it ensures you won't miss a single explainer.
Okay, so where did this all begin? Well, it started with a plan that was supposed to be simple. A robbery. Just a quick score, hatched by a young couple.
On one side, you've got Winona Fletcher. She's only 14. And on the other, her boyfriend, Cordell Boyd. He's 18. That 4-year age gap is pretty significant, and their relationship, well, it was about to become the catalyst for something truly horrific.
So that's the real question, isn't it? How do you go from a simple smash and grab to a triple homicide? The answer, and this is the chilling part, lies in the conversation they had before they even kicked in the door.
If you listen to Cordell Boyd, his story was that the plan was just about the money. Get in, get out. He swore up and down that he never ever intended for anyone to get hurt. But Winona Fletcher, at just 14, she saw things differently. She was the one who decided there was a problem. She was the one who insisted there could be no witnesses.
And that one chilling thought from a 14-year-old girl turned into an absolute nightmare inside that home. What happened next was calculated, it was cruel, and I have to warn you, the details are really tough to listen to.
It all unfolded with this terrifying precision. First, they tied up the victims with neckties. Then 70-year-old Ann Faccio was dragged upstairs and forced to her knees. And as this poor woman started to pray, Fletcher fired the gun, but she missed. And then she laughed. She just laughed. Then she stepped right up to Ann, and from just 3 inches away, fired again. And let's be crystal clear about this. This isn't just Cordell Boyd trying to save his own skin. Fletcher herself admits it. She was the one who pulled the trigger and killed 2 of the 3 elderly people in that house.
So after all of this, the justice system had an almost impossible job on its hands. I mean, what do? How do you sentence a child who committed a crime this monstrous?
The sentences they got were wildly different. Fletcher was handed 297 years, basically a life sentence designed to make sure she never got out. Boyd, because he testified against her, he got a deal. His sentence was cut, making him eligible for parole in 33 years.
For decades, it seemed like that was it. Case closed, story over. But then, a massive, game-changing decision from the U.S. Supreme Court came down, and it would change Winona Fletcher's entire future.
So here's what happened. In 2012, the Supreme Court basically said you can't have mandatory life without parole sentences for kids. And because her 297-year sentence was what's called a de facto life sentence, meaning she had no real chance of ever getting out, all of a sudden Winona Fletcher was getting a brand new sentencing hearing. Just think about that number for a second. 297 years. It was a wall of time, built to keep a 14-year-old girl locked away forever. And now, this is the new number. After her hearing, that sentence was more than cut in half, down to 135 years, which means she could now be eligible for parole when she turns 60.
But a change in the law doesn't just erase the past. The judge at her new hearing said he had serious doubts she could ever really be reformed. And for the victim's family, this is a wound that is never, ever healed.
They started a group called Victims for Justice, and in that courtroom, for that hearing, the daughters and granddaughters of the people she killed were sitting right there, a living testament to the pain that she caused.
You know, as I was going through everything for this story, one detail just kept coming back to me. One single moment that I can't shake. It perfectly captures the absolute horror of that night.
It's this, that image of Ann Faccio on her knees, praying for the person about to kill her, only to be met with a laugh and a bullet. It's a kind of cruelty that is it's absolutely gut-wrenching to even try to comprehend. To me, this case is so much more than just the crime itself. It's a story about the complete and total loss of innocence, and not just for the victims who lost their lives, but for the child who chose to embrace such an incredible darkness.
And that just leaves us with this impossible question, right? The law now says we have to give people a chance at redemption. But can a person who was that dark, at that young of an age, can they ever really come back into the light?
I genuinely want to hear what you think about all of this. It's a really important conversation to have. So please leave your thoughts down in the comments. And if you got something out of this explainer, hitting that like button really does help us out a lot. Thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to engage with a story this difficult. We tell these stories to understand, to learn, and to make sure these victims are never forgotten. We really hope you'll join us again for the next story that needs to be